Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today I am doing my May and June book haul. So these are all of the books that I collected during May and June. And in May and June I was trying to get fewer books than I did in March and April, because March and April I got a ton of books. And so I was trying to like rein myself in a little bit with my book buying. So this time it's a little bit smaller. It's still more books than I really intended to get. But I think I have like 13 books to talk about, and I'm excited to have all of them, so you know, let's get started. So first of all, let's start with some of the books that I got at the used bookstore, because I just recently went to the used bookstore to donate all of the books from my unhaul. So I think I donated maybe like 40 books or something, because it was actually all of the books from my last like 2 unhauls, because I never got around to donating the other one. Anyways, I got rid of a lot of books. I only bought 3 books at the used bookstore, so I still came home with way fewer than I left with, which was the goal. But I have 3 middle grade books here to talk about. The first book that I have is The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan, and I guess I forgot to take the sticker off, but this is the first book in his oh, what is this? The Kane Chronicles, I think is called. But this is another, you know, middle grade Rick Riordan book. This follows Egyptian gods instead of the Greek and Roman gods like the Percy Jackson series. And this is, I think, the only series by Rick Riordan that I haven't read yet. So I've been wanting to collect these and start reading them, and this is the first in the series. So I'm gonna try and slowly get my hands on the rest of the series. Then I have the last 2 books in a series, which are Ink Spell and Ink Death, both by Cornelia Funk. These are the last 2 books in the, is it called the Inkheart trilogy? I recently read Inkheart and I really enjoyed it, and so I wanted to continue the series, and I saw these nice hardcovers at the used bookstore, so I decided to pick them up. Then I have 2 novellas, which I think were both in my last most anticipated releases of the year video, which I'll link below. And so one is Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh, and this one I've actually already read, and it was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, but I didn't love it. This follows 2 main characters. One is Henry Silver, who has recently inherited an estate, and then the other is Tobias, who is kind of like the keeper of the forest that is on the estate. And Tobias is kind of an immortal being. He has been living on this land for, I think, like 400 years or something like that. And he takes care of the wood, and it's about Henry Silver kind of finding out about this mythology of the Green Man and the keeper of the forest, and kind of how that all came to be. So this does have a very foresty nature setting, and it does also have a male-male romance in it, although it is not own voices rep for the male-male romance. The other novella that I have is The Fire Opal Mechanism by Fran Wilde, and this is the second book in, I guess, what's going to be a series of novellas. The first was The Jewel and Her Lapidary, which I read, was it last year or the year before that? And The Jewel and Her Lapidary I thought had a really good premise. I thought it had some really interesting magic. The world was interesting, but I thought the book was just like way too short, and so I wasn't really connected to the story. But this novella is a little bit longer, or quite a bit longer actually, than the first one, and since I liked the world and the magic so much, I do want to give this next one a try. I think this does have kind of like an unlikely pair of, there's like a librarian and a thief who have to team up to find some like mysterious magical clock. So I don't know, but I think that that sounds like it'll be fun, and I'm really interested to see how she expands on this world and the magic. Then I have What Should Be Wild by Julia Fine. This is one that I've had my eye on for a very long time because I love this cover, but it also sounds like an interesting story, of course. So in this, our main character is able to kill or resurrect living things with just her touch. And so this kind of sounds almost like Rogue from X-Men, or a little bit like Pushing Daisies to me, but then in this story her father disappears, or maybe is kidnapped, and she has to go and find him, and I'm assuming use this power in some way. Next, I have The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, and this is a middle grade that I have been wanting to read because I think this was the group pick for one of the previous Witchathon, like readathons, and a lot of people really loved it, and I've been wanting to give it a try. So I believe the premise for this is that there is a witch who lives in the woods outside a village, and the people of the village believe that to protect themselves they have to sacrifice a baby to this like evil witch. But so they will leave a child out in the woods for this witch to find. The witch doesn't actually want these sacrifices. She doesn't understand why the people of the village keep leaving children out in the woods, but she takes care of the children and she feeds them starlight, and then finds homes for them, I believe. And then one day, one of the children that she takes, she accidentally feeds her moonlight, which then gives her magical powers, I believe. And then the story takes off from there. That's what I have surmised from hearing people talk about this, but a lot of people have really loved it, and I really want to give it a try. Then next I have A Conspiracy of Truth by Alexandra Rowland, and this one, I love the cover for this. It also has like a really interesting texture because it has like a physical texture, like it's like bumpy, but then it also has that kind of buttery feeling. I think they're trying to make it feel like leather. It's just a very interesting feel. This one, I always have a little bit of a hard time explaining what it's about. I don't feel like I totally understand it, but I think it sounds interesting. Our main character, I think, gets accused of witchcraft, and he gets kind of wrapped up in some political plots, and the only way to save himself is to tell stories and to like tell an incredible story. I'm not sure quite how that works, but I love books with storytelling as a theme, and I just think this one sounds really interesting. Next, I have one of my most anticipated releases of the year, which is Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. This, I think, is a standalone, and it follows two characters, I think, named Roger and Dodger, who are brother and sister, but they were not born, they were created by an alchemist. And they have their own kind of powers. One of them is really great with words, I think, and the other is really great with numbers. And the alchemist is bent on trying to turn these two people that he's made into gods of some sort, and I don't know how he's going to do that, but I have heard amazing things about this. I've heard that it is very dark and captivating, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm hoping I will get to this one pretty soon because I'm really excited about it. Then I have a few books of poetry. One is Heart Talk by Cleo Wade. Then I have Don't Tell Me Not to Ask Why, Poetry and Prose by Samantha King Holmes. And The Lioness Awakens by Laura Eden. And last, I have This Day, Sabbath Poems Collected and New, 1979 to 2013 by Wendell Berry. And this is a collection of poetry that my mom actually gave me for my birthday. My birthday was in June. And I think that the premise for this collection of poetry is that he would go on walks in the woods every day or every week, and then at the end of the week he would write a poem, and some of them are inspired by nature and his walks, some of them are other kinds of musings about life, and this is just a collection of all of the poems that he wrote after his walk in the woods. So my mom thought I would like this, and I can definitely see why. Also, I love the cover because it's just like beautiful forest. So those are all of the books that I've collected in May and June. Let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought of them. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!